Welcome to Medspa Unlocked, the podcast for ambitious medical spa owners who want to build, scale, and dominate in the world of aesthetics. Each episode delivers the strategies, tools, and insider knowledge you need to create a thriving multi-million-dollar practice. Hosted by Ashley James, known to many as AJ, former award-winning multi-practice aesthetic owner and operator, international speaker, sales and business mastery expert, and best-selling author of The Medspa Growth Formula. AJ is also the founder and CEO of Dermaesthetic Consulting Group and the visionary behind Medspa Business Builder, a cutting-edge performance and sales system that accelerates growth and drives real results for medical aesthetic practices. Today, she's one of the most highly sought-after aesthetic practice consultants in the nation, widely regarded as one of the industry's top authorities, and she knows exactly what it takes to rise above the noise, outpace the competition, and build a truly profitable, sustainable business. Join AJ and industry leaders as they unlock the secrets to success in aesthetics right here on Medspa Unlocked. Now, let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Medspa Unlocked. I'm your host, AJ, CEO of Dermaesthetic Consulting Group. Today, guys, I have a very special guest with me. Today, I am joined by Audrey Neff. She is a CMO of Aviva. She is a highly regarded KOL in the aesthetic space. And today, we're really going to kind of dig in to her perspective about marketing in the industry, what really helps to scale a practice from a marketing aspect, and really just kind of dig into what she is seeing is really trending and what has been changing over the last several years. So Audrey, thank you so much. Welcome to Medspa Unlocked.
It is so great to be here with you. It is an honor and a pleasure to be on your podcast. And I'm very much looking forward to our conversation today.
Same. So Audrey, you spent years helping aesthetic practices grow and scale. You have a really unique perspective because you're not just looking at one clinic. You've had the opportunity to really see a lot of trends across hundreds of practices over the years. And today I really just thought it would be fun to pick your brain about marketing and where it's kind of headed. I know AI is like the big talk right now, and It's kind of changing the landscape. And I really want to dig into like what practice owners really need to understand if they want to grow in today's market. So first of all, tell me a little bit about your role at Aviva and what your team is really focused on, because that's really exciting too.
Yes, definitely. As you mentioned, I've been in the space for a while. It's been I think it's been going on 12 years now, which is actually crazy to think about. I love this industry so much. I always tell people you'll drag my dead body out of it because I'll never leave it. It's just the best industry in the entire world. And there's something very special about all of us who work in aesthetics. And so, I am now Chief Marketing Officer at Aviva Aesthetics. I joined the team. I'm actually coming up on my 1 year, which is wild. So Tyler, my counterpart and the CEO at Aviva, we met a little over a year ago, started talking and realized there was something really cool that we could build together. And it's been a very fun ride. But in a nutshell, Aviva Aesthetics, we are the industry's only entrepreneur-owned platform versus being private equity-owned. So it's very exciting to build something completely different than what has dominated the consolidation landscape over the last 3-4 years. And so instead of, acquiring businesses, we truly partner with them and we help them continue to grow, continue to build, continue to optimize their business with a lot more resources, support, and infrastructure and economies of scale and purchasing power behind them. And then instead of, selling at your business today at a single digit multiple on your EBITDA, so your profit, essentially, the people that join Aviva are skipping that early sale to private equity and they maintain ownership. And then when we do bring on an investor partner in, let's call it 4 to 5 years, give or take 3 to 5 years, the multiple, so, what is paid typically only to private equity platforms or large de novo brands. So when we talk about enterprise med spas, the multiple that someone gets for an enterprise med spa that's 50, 60 locations is very different than someone gets at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 location med spa. So that it's typically in the mid-teens. Used to be a lot higher. That obviously may change with market conditions if interest rates drop again. But everyone gets paid on a platform multiple on their EBITDA at that time. So it's sort sort of like flipping the script on the traditional roll-up approach to benefit the founders and the people who actually poured their blood, sweat, and tears into building a business in the first place, instead of having private equity keep all of that financial upside. So it's very fun to, I will say we kind of are ruffling the feathers, which is always something I like to do a little bit, but I like to do things differently. I love to disrupt the status quo. And anyone who knows me knows my passion in this industry and in my life, honestly, is just working with med spa owners and helping them continue to thrive and build and do amazing, incredible things. And that's what we're doing at Aviva. And it's very purpose driven for me. And I am certainly enjoying the ride.
I love that. I wish that you guys were around when I was selling all of my clinics, because I definitely understand what you're talking about. And, good for you guys. I love that you have the owner at heart. And, when you build, I will tell you, I can't even drive by my old facility just because it's not mine anymore. And, you're right, when you put the blood, sweat, and tears into it, you don't always get what you think you're going to get when you sell to private equity. And I love that you're kind of keeping it in-house and providing that solution for them and another alternative. And I'm sure you are ruffling feathers. And, it's like, but Biggie Small says, more money, more problems. And if someone's not talking about you, you're not really relevant.
Yes,
so
I love it.
You're shaking things up.
We just started getting people like saying stuff that isn't true about us in some of the Facebook groups, and some of our partners saw it. No, and we're all excited about it. We're like, wait, people are talking about it. We love this.
I love it. Yeah, no, you guys, being a consultant in the space and being in the space for about 25 years, this is much needed, and I love it. So, you're kind of, your realm in the industry, you're really strong when it comes to marketing and scaling, like I said. So, what do you feel besides AI? Like, what do you think is different now when it comes to marketing and scaling an aesthetic practice and what it was 5 years ago? I know it's a loaded question, but like, what are the biggest changes you see?
First of all, it's a great question. I think it's so different now than 5 years ago. Like, it used to be, I don't want to say easy, because nothing in business or marketing is easy, but there was less resistance and perhaps lower investment from a monetary standpoint that had to be put into marketing. You had to do it, but these things cost you a little bit less, and there wasn't as many things you like it was, I don't want to say easier, but it was 5 years ago, it was easier to acquire patients in that landscape than it is fast forward to 2026. 10 years ago, completely different story. Back then, because I came from a marketing agency, was my initial background in aesthetics, then SaaS. Obviously I've always been working with practices from a consulting standpoint, and now Aviva. So I've seen so many different iterations from the vendor side, the practice side, from an agency side, from a SaaS side, all of these different perspectives. I've now seen the evolution of today's modern marketing landscape. And I mean, going back 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, all you really needed was a great mobile responsive, optimized website, SEO, of course, your Google business profile, and some social media, and you could do a good job bringing patients in. And now I think I don't want to call it noise, but it almost is like noise. There's so much going on, and everyone is on the internet. Everyone is consuming so much content. There is so much competition in today's aesthetic landscape. So I think it's definitely, I don't want to call it more difficult, but I think it takes a lot more intention and strategy and prioritization in 2026 than it did in, let's call it 2018 from a marketing standpoint. There's so many different things that I think practices need to be focusing on. It's definitely an omnichannel approach. It's not let me put all my eggs in one basket and just hope that it works, because if one day that basket gets taken away and you threw all of your budget into Meta ads or Google ads or X, Y, and Z, and then something happens, you're in a bad spot. And so if we look at marketing, I mean, there's obviously foundational elements that you have to have. So, you do have to have a wonderful website. It needs to be mobile responsive. It needs to have, you need to be consistently doing organic SEO, and AEO is obviously something else that we can talk about, or not talk about, but people are going to AI search engines to search practices now. It's still, and people think right now AI is ahead of Google and local and like organic search. It's still the majority of consumers are still going to Google. And if we think about AI, when you ask AI something, it's crawling the internet and going to Google and taking from that to answer the question. So in order to show up in that, you have to still be doing a really great job with your organic strategy on Google. And so a lot of people get really hyper-focused on AI, because it's all we're talking about now and it's all over social media. But we have to remember where is AI getting its content from?
Right.
The internet and Google. It crawls that platform. And so that's still your foundation. Like, you can't have a successful marketing strategy without having the foundation built, which is your website, your Google business profile, really good organic SEO. And then, that kind of is step one, pillar one. And then there's ancillary things that can be put on top of that. So if we think about other levers, what other levers can we pull? Well, social media is another one. And social media is a blessing and a curse. Everybody despises doing it. People say all the time social media is free. I really despise when people say that, because no one's time is free. Like, time is money, especially if you are an injector, a provider, you are producing revenue. Even if you're an owner, right? You could be doing other revenue generating things other than if you're trying to record a reel or something like that.
Right.
But it's a necessary, I don't want to call it a necessary evil, but it is something that we do have to do, because today's modern consumer is going to go to social media, specifically Instagram. And there was actually even a consumer analysis report done by Allergan a couple of years ago. And I'm sure if they redid this report today, it would be very different, meaning it would be a higher statistic. But in that former report they did, and they had surveyed thousands of consumers, specifically millennials, which millennials today are actually ages 30 to 45, just so everyone knows. A lot of people think that they're still like 20-year-old kids. They're not. I'm a millennial. It's 83% of millennials actually go to Instagram specifically when they're researching aesthetic treatments. And so that's a very high number. And social media, it is something that you need to invest in. It's something that you do need to prioritize, whether you do it in-house, whether you make the time with your team and you delegate it, or you hire someone to come in and film content. It's up to you. Everyone has different, successes and challenges with that. But as long as you realize it's something that you do need to do consistently and frequently, then, it's just a realization that we all have to come to. And I think a lot of times people, I was even talking to a practice the other day, and they're like, they had brought on an agency that is doing a phenomenal job with their social media. They come in, they film the content, they help do the photo shoots with the team, all of these things, post on their behalf. They're doing a phenomenal job. But, it's how do I track this? How do I track what's going on? And I will say, in some cases, is there direct ROI from social media, meaning someone sees something and they reach out to you? Sure. But we need to go back a couple of steps and realize that the average consumer needs to go through multiple touch points with your practice before they even call you. And social media is one of them, but it's not going to be, in rare cases will someone just see a post and then call your practice. It's just, they're going to be Googling. They're going to find you on Google. They're going to find your Google reviews. They're going to read those. Does that pass the smell test? Okay, I'll go to your website. I'll browse around. I'll look at your before and after gallery. Now I'm going to go to your Instagram. It's like all of these different little steps that the modern consumer does. And each step slowly either builds trust or it doesn't. And at any of those point in times, whether it's your Instagram or your Google business profile or your reviews or how your website is, any of those things can completely either break that trust that they were building, and then something doesn't seem right, or it just doesn't social proof right, or it just, you only have 20 reviews. That doesn't build trust with me. I think it's overwhelming for sure, because there's so many things that we have to do, but it's because we just have to put ourselves in the consumer's shoes of how do consumers today research providers online. And if we do go back to even talking about millennials, millennials are the most valuable consumer group in aesthetic medicine right now. They make up around, I think, 34% of the entire aesthetics market right now. Gen X is still higher. It's closer to I think 38% or 36%. But Gen X isn't getting, that market share isn't increasing, it's decreasing. So even a couple of years ago, it was at 41%, and now it's at 36 or 38%. And millennials are going up. Gen X is coming down. And a lot of people today are also talking about Gen Z, and okay, that's great, but Gen Z starts at 14 years old. Yeah. 14-year-olds aren't getting aesthetic treatment, so therefore Gen Z as a whole doesn't have full purchasing power. Millennials do. So, and millennials is something I talk about a lot. I have a full peer-reviewed course all on the millennial generation. But, if we just put ourselves in, let's say the millennial consumer shoes, ages 30 to 45, how do they research providers? What moves the needle? Mm-hmm. It's all of these different things because they're going to go to so many different platforms and avenues to social proof or research a provider or providers.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're spot on with all of that. When I opened my first clinic at 23, I had one marketing meeting a month. I'd meet with the newspaper, I'd meet with my radio people, and that's how I did it. And now, I mean, even advertising my own firm, it's a lot. And what I don't think owners understand is that I love that you said that it's not free, that social media is not free, because it is very, very time consuming. We saw a study, and I can't even remember where it came from. I actually think that Growth 99 or maybe even Repeat MD came out with this, but the average consumer is researching and looking for up to a full year. So it's not even just the touch points. Typically it's like 7 to 10 touch points, but now it's over a longer period of time. So like when you're getting these leads, you want to continue to nurture them for a longer period of time than what you traditionally used to think. But that being said, it's also posting 7 to 10, even more than that, every single day on every single platform. And that is very time consuming. And so I also don't love the whole like influencer thing. You're giving away free services to get them to post things. That's not really what's going to bring it in.
Agreed.
It's consistency in time. It's valuable information. When we're launching clinics or we're scaling a clinic, we're talking about that social proof and what they're going to those Instagram for, or they're going for the Google reviews, is they're looking for evidence that you're a safe place, that you provide the results they're looking for, and that there's credibility there. And so that is with your TikToks, it's with your Susie's Corner of why we inject here versus why we inject there. It's, reviews, testimonies, all these things. And so it takes a lot of work. And so, that being said, too, that is also what I have seen is drastically increase the amount of ad spend that med spa owners need to put into this to be competitive. Not only do I recommend you have a full-time person that's taking the content, editing, putting it out there, organizing it, coming up with the strategy, but the amount of ad spend that's going in to be competitive on Reddit, on X, on LinkedIn, and all of the platforms. Do you also see that? Where, I mean, let's talk about that. What type of investment do you actually think that med spa owners need to be making into their marketing, all avenues, on a monthly basis?
Yeah, I mean, that varies by practice and geographical location, obviously, but on the paid advertising side of it, specifically Google, I mean, that's a good chunk of change that you need to be investing if you're going to do Google ads and in an optimal way. And also a lot, like if you aren't good at doing them yourself, hire somebody that's really great at doing them correctly, right? Because a lot of med spas also try to do things themselves and they may not be the expert in that. And I think a big part of business is surrounding yourself with people that are experts in their craft, because we can't be good at everything, right? We all have strong characteristics and strong areas of expertise that we bring to the table. So if you have a full-time marketing person and she can do Google ads, that's great. If you're working with an agency and they can take that off your plate for you, that's phenomenal. But typically with ad spend, I mean, there's very few agencies that will even manage Google ads if you're not going to spend at least $1,500 in ad spend. Arguably, it should be a lot higher than that if you actually want to maximize your investment. But once again, that does vary on where you're located. Google ads in Miami is going to be different than in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and depending the service category and things like that. So I think that varies, of course. And then even with Meta too, I think Meta is a great platform. Obviously, I would say I think Google is probably a more effective platform when it comes to paid advertising versus Meta, but you can do Meta at a lower cost. But I would think at the end of the day, what I would urge everyone to remember, and I always refer to it as kind of like profound knowledge, what you know in advance, you plan for in advance. So if you know that you are going to spend the next, let's say we're almost in Q3, in Q3, we're going to spend $4,000 a month in Google ad spend. Okay. So let's make sure that first of all, how do we track that, right? So you need to have custom landing pages. You need to track your campaigns. You need to track the leads into the CRM system. Everyone needs to be using some type of CRM system. Yep. And you need to track this. And then you also need to ensure that your people and your processes and your phone and how do people answer it? How do they come? That is tightened up. and that is a bulletproof process. Because if you're going to go spend $4,000, $5,000 year or month over month for 3 months this quarter, because we really want to ramp it up over the summer, which sometimes can have a little bit of a summer slump. Well, let's make sure all of these other processes are tightened up first before we even do that. Because if you spend this money and you drive these leads and then the phones aren't handled correctly, there's no follow-up, they're not put into a nurture sequence in the CRM platform, whatever it is, you're just putting money in a trash can and lighting it on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. We launched our business builder division last year, and it's become one of our more popular things that people reach out to us for. And that is, we have our custom CRM, and then we do all of that. We train the receptionist, we train the sales team, the whole patient journey. And it's crazy to see just how just little tweaks like that can really scale a practice so quickly. What do you see? What do you see some of the biggest mistakes that owners make when it comes to marketing? Is it not investing in enough, or it's not posting enough, or is it not kind of marketing on multiple platforms? What do you think the biggest mistake is?
I think there's two. The first thing I would say is knowing what to do and not doing it. So I think, there's so many events in this industry, so many conferences, so many programs, so many webinars, so many podcasts. We have all this content. There's a copious amount of it, so infinite in this industry that med spa owners consume. And so they listen to it. They know that they need to do these things, but then they don't do it, right? Like they go back to their practice Monday morning, they want to do X, Y, and Z, and then it slowly falls off the list of their priorities because they're so caught up in the day-to-day operations. And so I always refer to it as like, it's not a deficiency of knowledge, it's a deficiency of execution, meaning you know what to do, you know what you should be doing, but you don't do it. So I would say that's one thing. That's kind of a broader answer to your question, but I see that all the time. I mean, I see the same people attending the same conferences, attending the same marketing courses every single year. They're there every year in the same seat, and I'm like, I have seen this person in this talk for the last 5 years.
Yeah,
but it's just knowing what to do and then you don't do it, and prioritizing things. And something else I talk a lot about is the tyranny of the urgent, which is it's this like 4-quadrant concept that was come up by the original concept was created by Charles Hummel. And there's 4 quadrants that we all deal with on a daily basis. Overall, it's all tyranny of what is super urgent. The urgency is what tyrannizes us. And so you have things that are super urgent that need to be handled right away. So if a piece of equipment breaks, like a piece of capital equipment, phone calls, like patients walking in the door, these are things that require immediate attention. Then you have non-urgent things that are important. So it could be, your sales rep pops in the door at the end of the quarter. It's important, but it doesn't need to be done right now. You don't need to go talk to them if you're doing other things. Then you have another quadrant that's just busy work. So things that we all do as business owners, as team members, things that don't move the needle. So they're not urgent, not important. And then there's quadrant in the concept, it's quadrant 2, which are non-urgent things, meaning the building and the practice is not going to burn down tomorrow if you don't do them, but they have the biggest impact on your practice. So they're important things that are non-urgent. And this is where marketing falls, right? It's because this is your systems, your processes, your culture, your mission, your vision, your core values, your relationships, your process improvement. And these are the things that often take a back seat because nothing is going to happen tomorrow if you don't do these things. And I put marketing in there as well, because a lot of people, they say they want to do X, Y, and Z. They say they want to grow their practice by 20% this year in 2026. Well, how are you going to do that? You can't just hope to grow your practice and not look at data, not look at metrics, not have a marketing strategy, not refine it as you go and actually look at what channels are performing, what channels are not performing. Going through our processes, how do we greet people? What does our consultation process look like? How do we retain patients in the practice? Another mistake I would say is a lot of people get very hyper focused on just lead generation. Like they're just obsessed with, I want more leads. I want more leads, more leads. It's like this disease. And people just like, they get engulfed in it. And a lot of times they're getting more than enough leads. They're just not converting them.
Right.
And that's probably where more money is lost, in my opinion, is the conversion stage, right?
Yep.
You can generate all the leads in the world and then everything can break at that one point. Phone call, bad experience, bad consultation process, no treatment plan, no retention tactics, no relationship building. And now you've just spent all this money and you lost it.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, our scale program, when we do, I have a system called the Convert More Consult system that I developed more than 18 years ago. And I scale practices just by what you just said, by training them on how to have better conversations and better consultations. They don't need to spend any more money in marketing. They don't need to do more lead generation. Anybody can get you leads. I mean, that's the reality of it. It's what you do after you have that lead. It's, again, that social proof. It's that relationship building. It's what you're doing at that point. And then also what I think a lot of med spa owners miss out on is, the retention. What are you doing to retain these clients? What are you doing to get them to come back? Do you have a membership program? Do you have a rewards program? How are you communicating them on a regular basis? And I think, that is a big piece that people miss out. They're just, ad spend, lead gen, and they're not looking at, okay, I have these clients. I have this established relationship. How do I build this relationship? I think that's important too.
If your practice is generating revenue, but not at the level you know it should be, if you're feeling stuck, plateaued, or frustrated watching opportunity walk out the door every single day, it's time to look at what's really holding you back. Because let's be honest, it's not a lead problem, it's a systems problem. And that's exactly what we fix at Dermasthetic Consulting Group inside our 90-day scale program. In just 90 days, we'll come into your business and identify exactly where you're losing revenue. Whether it's your consultations, your team performance, your pricing strategy, or your operations, then we fix it. We retrain your team, rebuild your consultation process, optimize your systems, and implement the strategies needed to drive consistent, scalable growth. Fast. We've helped practices double their revenue in as little as 90 days, and we can show you exactly what's possible for your business. If you're ready to stop guessing, stop spinning your wheels, and finally unlock the growth you know is there, schedule a strategy call today.
Now, I think that a lot of people, exactly what you just said, they know they need to do these things, they want to do these things, and then they just don't do those things. And it's usually because they don't have time. They're not prioritizing time to actually do this. And so that's where I see AI coming in. Like, oh, I'm going to get an AI agent. I'm going to do this. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to have all the AIs communicate with all of my leads. I think there's a time and a place. And I think that definitely AI is good at workflows, but I'd love to pick your brain on like the pros and cons. Like, I don't think that I'm a big believer, Audrey, you know this, I say this all the time, people purchase with people. And what I am seeing is when you rely so much on AI, you miss that personal piece, and that can be a detriment to the practice. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I agree. And this is and I know you agree with this too. It's a human and people-driven industry. Like, that is at the forefront of everything in this industry. Just like you said, people buy people. Yes, are you selling products and services and retail and all of these things? Yes, but they are buying you. Right. Your unique approach to aesthetic medicine, the results that they believe they will achieve picking you, the experience that they believe they will get with your practice and your team and your people and all of these things. And you really can't put a price on that. And I think as it relates to AI, I think AI is something we should certainly all be leaning into. I think it has a place and a time for different things. Personally, if I'm calling a practice, I want to speak to a real human being. That's just how I am. Now, if it's after hours, I know that there are some AI tools, like if the practice is closed and things like that. But there are also things that you can do where it goes to their cell phone, and if it's after hours, they can pick it up. We can go in different routes about that. But at the end of the day, we do need to prioritize the human connection and the human interaction, because that is what human beings crave at the end of the day. And this is a very personal industry. It's very personal medicine. And the people should always be at the forefront. Now, from an efficiency standpoint and a productivity standpoint, should we be using AI? 100%. I mean, whether it is brainstorming social media campaigns, email campaigns, whatever it may be, I mean, there are so many resources, graphic design. There are so many resources now that we should all be leveraging. And none of these tools really cost a lot of money either. Yeah. So I think from, just like you said, a workflow standpoint, AI is built into a lot of tech platforms now and software, phenomenal. Using it for marketing, brainstorming, phenomenal. Building, I mean, you can even, in Claude, you can create skills and drop your brand guidelines, and then create marketing assets or campaign ideas, email marketing ideas based off of that. And so there's so much that we can do of something that would normally take us maybe 3 hours to do, we can now do in 10 minutes,
right?
With, light editing and things like that. From that standpoint, AI is everyone's friend, but I don't want us to get, just like you said, so consumed in putting AI into everything, or else you will lose people at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the two pillars of purchase that I always talk about are the emotion and the logic. And in this industry, the majority of that decision to move forward with the practice comes from that emotion. And so again, it's about that connection. And I worry about everything being AI, and it's happening so fast. I mean, what we're doing now this month in May with AI is so much faster and different and more advanced than it was back in March. I mean, it's moving so quickly. But yeah, I love that you said, to brainstorm different ideas and different campaigns that you can do, value propositioning with AI. I use AI just to help me break down numbers. I'm a KPI girl. I love numbers. And rather than spend, 4 hours going through all of my clients' numbers, I can pick the numbers that I know are most valuable and then use it to help me analyze so that I can make a decision on what needs to move forward and how we get to point A to point B. Do you see, with marketing, I talked about earlier about how we should be posting 7 to 10 times a day on different avenues. And I love that you mentioned that AI pulls from Google, that tells me you still have to be doing the blogs. You still have to be present on the other avenues. Do you see that shifting anytime soon? Do you see maybe, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like, do you see that this whole momentum will kind of plateau anytime soon, or do you think it's going to get worse?
So I was actually just talking with a good friend of mine who owns an agency in the space. And according to a lot of information and experts that are out there, while Google still dominates the organic search landscape, and AI, like it's maybe, let's call it 80-20, 80% Google, 20% AI. In 12 months, they're expecting that to kind of shift a little bit. They are. Now, do we know that for sure? No. But that's what a lot of experts out there in the tech world and the AI world and Google are all projecting, is we're going to see a shift in where consumers are going to research, just because, just like you said, AI is moving so fast. I can't even keep up. I may be using 1/100th of what Claude can do. Like, I can't keep up with all of these people and all of these hacks and all these things. I save all of these things. I'm going to go back and learn these things, but it's just moving like freaking wildfire. It's hard to keep up with it. But because I think it is moving so fast and it's becoming so prominent in our landscape, I think consumers even might start relying on it a little bit more. But once again, it's still crawling the internet, and that's where it's getting its information. So going back to content is king. The more content that is out there on Google, on the internet, on social, whatever it is, the more effective, or the more, let's call it, just improved AI will be for searches. And then obviously there's agencies that can do things with AEO, so answer engine optimization, things like that too. But it'll be interesting to see because, nothing's set in stone. We don't know, but I think AI is definitely growing faster than a lot of us expected.
So I shared with you last time, I have this little project on the side that Dak's working on, and we have a dev team. And one of the things that was recently brought to my attention is a lot of people are not only are using AI as a search engine, but they're doing it because they're kind of trying to filter out the noise of all the advertisings and all the promotion. And going back to people purchase with people, your actual true client, the right demographic, the right client for your practice doesn't care about the discount. Maybe a little bit. Everybody cares about price and value, but they care about quality. They care about, okay, I just saw you snatch a face on Instagram with Botox filler and PDO threads. I want that result. And so what I have been being told by my dev team is the more valuable content. So instead of like, oh, to buy one area of Botox, get another area 50% off. It needs to be the blogs. It needs to be the education. It needs to be why you're injecting here versus here. It needs to be about safety, all these things. Because what you said about the millennials, these are the bread and butter of this industry right now. They are more educated. They have good work ethic. They research a lot. They're not really about trends. They're more about, what I am seeing is more about results, safety, credentials. So we're still in that, because back in the day, you would go to a doctor based on his credentials, based on his reputation. And then that shifted a little bit where people were going just because of, what they're seeing, and so this generation, I still feel like still cares all about that. So I always tell our clients, do more blogs, do like Susie's Corner on Instagram, like, oh, today, Tuesday, I don't know, Friday facts or something like that. That's what, and the AI pulls that. So when it is doing the recommendation, they're pulling the content that is credible.
Yep.
Does going back to like Meta and Facebook, and all of that, when you have a client when you have a practice that, let's just say a new practice, obviously it's more affordable than Google. What kind of strategies do you feel like are more effective on Meta? Like, what can a practice owner do if they don't have a big budget for marketing? Yep. What would be like your top 3 recommendations for someone that maybe only has that $1,500 to $3,000 marketing budget?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if you're going to do paid Meta, you need to make sure you first have a good Instagram presence, or like a good Instagram profile organically, or else, because typically even if you're running ads, we're going to go look at your profile. So if you're running ads and you have nothing, I don't want to use the word sketchy, but that's how I just feel as a consumer. Like, this practice is running ads. I was interested, but then there's nothing on their Instagram. So this is applicable to startups, right? So I would say get that present. Obviously you don't need to have 1 million followers, but just start posting regularly. So at least you have substance of who you are, your unique approach to aesthetic medicine, videos about your treatments, your procedures, your retail products, before and afters with proper consent, whatever it is. Make sure that you have some core content on your profile first before you go run Meta ads. And then on the Meta ad standpoint, I mean, there have been a lot of studies done on that ads with a real person's face or faces perform better. And this goes right back to people buying people. Stock imagery and stuff like that, just no one can connect with that. And so, and there's been a lot of studies done. Like, if you're going to start running some ads, put some of your team, or maybe it's a whole group of your team. I think new patient offers are effective for Meta as well. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, but I don't like consistent. I'm not a fan of discounting and things like that. But if you want to create a little gateway of maybe it's $50 off your first treatment or something like that, new patients only, just to create a little gateway of a patient stream into your practice. And then you use that time to do the consultation, educate them on the realities of aging and collagen loss and all of these things, and building out a plan, having a really thorough consultation, building a relationship with them. That can be a great little stream for practices to bring people in as a gateway to other things. But I think just doing things, not throwing something together overnight and just being like, oh, I did it to check a box, just maybe, spending a little bit more time and intention with it. And once again, go to AI, put your website in AI and said, analyze my website. And you can put in like kind of, these are the top treatments, procedure, services I want to focus on this month based on everything that, you've looked at. Give me some ad copy or ideas for X, Y, and Z, and it'll spit stuff out for you. And then from there, at least it gets your brain juices kind of flowing, and you can start thinking a little critically and more strategically.
I love that. I have to chuckle a little bit because when you're talking about, getting your staff involved and having real faces, I made that mistake myself. Here I am, a busy consulting firm. I am back to back on Zoom calls every single day. If I'm not on a Zoom call, I'm on a site visit, training on sales or doing things, and getting my own content to do exactly what I tell my practices to do has been a challenge. And so we started kind of using AI to, put some some things together, to put my face on things, and it got out of hand. And I started having family being like, AJ, what is this? This is not you. That is not, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even see that, because my marketing team is trying to figure out, like, AJ is not available to do content. So we have to try to figure this out. And the reality of it is, like, okay, stop with the AI. It's there for ideas and whatever, but you have to be that person. And so here I am hiring, a content team to be able to do that for my own firm. And so, and that right when I was doing that, that's when kind of the studies started coming out saying, it actually can tell if it's AI versus a real person. You're going to get a better response, better algorithms when it's your own face or your team, and not using like an AI version of yourself. So I made that mistake myself. What do you see happening in, the next 12 to 24 months in the industry?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a couple of things. I would say one, and I mean, we're all talking about this now, integration of functional medicine and aesthetics that'll continue to rise, which I'm happy about. We're definitely seeing, I think today's consumer is a lot more educated than, they have been in the past, just because of the AI, the internet, social media. That's just where everybody spends their time. And then, so we just need to make sure that, we have processes and intention and strategy all tightened up. And then also, we're going to continue to see consolidation. So it's just, it is what it is. Some people don't like it, but we have to realize this happens in any industry that is growing as fast as medical aesthetics. It happened in derm, it happened in dental, that space, like, it's happening in aesthetics. It's not going anywhere. It's going to accelerate. And so I think it's getting a lot of people to think about their business from a different lens. And I think in some ways it's actually really good. And first of all, if consolidation is happening, that means we're in a really healthy industry, by the way. So that's a compliment to all of us that have built this incredible industry that's been growing year over year. The investment community has been watching aesthetics for quite some time. And then a couple of years ago, private equity started pouring in. And so to us, like, while we all think, there's definitely negative connotations with private equity in some cases, but we need to think of it. Okay, that means we're in a really great industry that investors are trying to get into it. And so I think that we need to look at it from a positive lens of it's a really exciting time to be a part of medical aesthetics. People are climbing over cliffs to try to get into this industry.
Oh, 100%. And that's what I love about what you guys are doing at Aviva, because you're partnering with them, you're helping them to make their practice more profitable, more attractive, but also allowing them to keep a little bit of that themselves instead of, the way that it was.
They keep all of it. It's because when we think about the traditional PE model, and it varies from everyone's business goal. If someone's in a state of business today where they just want everything taken off their plate, they want to get some cash for what they built. Traditional private equity is a phenomenal route, and there's plenty of great platforms out there that have phenomenal reputations. Just make sure you do your, research, take your time, ask the right questions and things like that. But then, if we think about the Aviva standpoint, the whole business model is, what if people don't want to sell today, but they want to continue building their business, but they want support? And so you own 100% of your business when you're a part of Aviva. And it's just, you just have like a partner behind you to help you. And then when we do, once again, we continue to help build your EBITDA, because if we even go the other route too, you can't optimize EBITDA unless you have economies of scale and back office support and a sophisticated management team overseeing all aspects of your practice. And so practices sell typically before they've optimized EBITDA. And then private equity buys for 50 businesses at a low price, low multiple, let's call it 5-6x. And then they optimize the EBITDA, sell the platform for 15 times, 16 times, 17 times, and then they keep all of that financial upside. And Medspa owners only get a small little rollover portion of that. And so with Aviva, it's you maintain autonomy, you maintain control, you get the benefits as if you sold, but you haven't sold, you still own 100%. And then you capture the financial upside when we sell the platform at a platform multiple, so 15x, 16x, whatever that is, instead of private equity. So it's just an alternative route for people that want to continue building, and they don't want to sell today. They're not content with the options today, but they want to have an exit strategy in the future for whatever it may be.
Well, and I've been hired to work with private equity for the turn and before. And one of the things that always happens is it changes your practice. You have very business people coming in that have a vision of what they think the business needs to be. And it kind of changes the heartbeat of the practice, which
Yeah.
for me in my situation was very difficult to see. But at the same time, like I said, I wish I would have had you guys several years ago, because I was at a point in my career where I was burnt out,
Yeah.
and I had some health issues going on. And I really felt the need to do something different. I didn't really want to sell, but I needed to do something different. And this could have allowed me to still be an owner, still have, a place in the practice, still scale, but not have to like walk away from it.
Yeah.
So I love that. Again, like I just love that you guys are doing this, because I think this is something that a lot of people can benefit from, and it's a different way of doing things, and it gives owners more options now. So I just love that. All right. Well, so before we start kind of closing out this episode, I could talk to you forever, Audrey, honestly, but let's do some rapid fire. Okay. So one marketing trend that is overrated. Go.
I would say influencer marketing.
Okay. One marketing trend that is underrated.
Before and after photos.
Okay. Meta or Google?
Google.
Organic or paid?
Organic.
Most important KPIs is a good one.
Retention.
Okay. Biggest waste on marketing dollars.
Okay. Traditional marketing, billboards, print, radio.
Perfect. Most important piece of advice for practice owners listening today.
Execution is everything.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Well, today has been absolutely amazing. I've enjoyed this conversation. I kind of want to have you on again. I could ask you a million more questions. I think everyone can benefit from listening to you. Closing question. If you were sitting across from a med spa owner doing 1 million a year today, and they wanted to get to 5 million, what would be your recommendation for them to focus on?
Yeah, I would say baby steps. First of all, we all have ambitious goals, and it's great to have ambitious goals, but I think we need to focus on one thing at a time and what is realistic in a certain time frame. So if you're at $1 million and let's call it, you have a couple of people on your team. So if we think about what separates a $1 million practice from a $5 million practice, it's going to be systems, processes, things that are scalable, and a diversified team. So, you want to think about building your team, diversifying your revenue production as well, which is something, investors or growth partners look at, and looking at your technology, using spreadsheets to track leads. A lot of practices do that early on, but that's not scalable. Right. So we need to make sure that anything that we're doing is something that we could almost replicate in another location, even if we're not opening up another location. And I advise opening up second locations more often than I encourage it when, going through people's financials. It always depends. But I would say things that separate those two types of businesses is it's systems, processes, people. It's also leadership. I think leadership is something that a lot of people struggle with, because the majority of med spas are owned by a provider. They're not owned by a business person. So if you're a provider generating 80% of revenue, if let's call it you're a $1 million practice and you're generating the majority of revenue, it's very hard for you to work on the business when you're constantly working in the business generating revenue. So I would say some of the most successful practice owners, even that are friends of mine, that have scaled from $1 to $6 million, $7 million, whatever it is in one location, are people that invest in themselves in terms of leadership coaching. How do I manage a team? How do I incentivize a team? How do I slowly produce less and have my team produce more so that I can eventually wear more of a CEO hat, where I actually have the ability to work on the business and build the business, because now I'm not working physically in the treatment room all day, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Yeah. Now that you don't get there overnight, but these are things that you need to think about of what separates, if we're just talking about a single location, a $1 million versus a $6 million or a $5 million or a $10 million practice.
Yeah. Going from provider to CEO for sure. Well, I agree with that 100%. All right. Well, where can our listeners find you?
Yeah. So email is Should I give out my email on a podcast?
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to put it in here anyway, but.
Okay. My email is first initial last name. So Neff at avivaesthetics.com. Happy to chat with anyone. If anyone's interested in learning more about what we're building at Aviva. And then social media, LinkedIn, you can just search my name. And then Instagram is at Audrey Neff _. I can't get rid of the underscore. I wish I could.
I love it.
That's where people can find me.
Well, I'll tag all of that in the notes here for this episode as well. So, Audrey, it's always a pleasure talking with you and catching up. I just love picking your brain about things. Thank you so much for finding time to be on Medspa Unlocked today, and I'm eager to have you on sometime soon again.
Of course. Well, I'm going to be returning the favor. We need to find some time to bring you on my podcast too. So we'll do that next, and it'll be so much fun. Very much looking forward to it. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. For everyone listening, until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Medspa Unlocked. True success in aesthetics is never accidental. It's the result of vision, precision, and disciplined execution. If today's episode resonated with you, we invite you to subscribe so you won't miss future conversations and to continue unlocking what's possible for your business, your brand, and your legacy. For more resources, education, and strategic support, visit us at dermaestheticconsulting.com or connect with us on social media at Dermaesthetic Consulting. And if you're ready to take the next step in building your aesthetics practice the right way, we'd love to help. Until next time, lead with intention, operate with excellence, and never stop evolving.